So in the last episode, I basically discussed what we've done over the first part of the series. uh, we have gone over prints and all that stuff. If you don't understand that, leave me a message. I gave you guys 2 days to ask some questions, and I answered a few of them. But right now we're going to be working on module scripts, as that module scripts and everything after this point. Now, if you don't understand module scripts, I'll highly suggest you watch my Functions Part 1 and Functions Part 2 episodes because those are very important to understanding modules. And also, you might want to watch the table video. Also, I will link all those in the description. Alright, so let's get into this. So, I'm going to make a script and I'm going to make a module right here. So, module scripts, literally just look up module and you'll find a module script. When you open a module script, instead of printing hello world, you see module and return module. Returning, basically, when you call upon this module, whatever this returns is what you're going to get. So this is a table like we talked about. So local module equals table. That's like me putting local A equals that. That's essentially the same thing. And then if I wanted to return that, I would return A. And there we go, we got a module, but it's not really a module. So a module script is essentially a script that can shorten code for you. So let's say I wanted to change the base plate color, right? So I'll get the base plate gain over workspace.base plate, right? So now we have the base plate. I'm going to create a function, change color. In change color, I'm going to give it the base plate, and I'm going to give it the. Actually, I'm going to name that. So it makes more sense. So there we go. So I named it plate, and we're going to give it the color. I'm going to do color 3 dot new from RGB, color 3 from RGB, so it'll give an RGB value. I'm going to do 255, 255, 255. This is essentially white, 0, 0, 0 is black, and everything in between there is a different color. So red, I believe, is 255, 0, 0. It's, if you could do some more research, just look up the RGB color wheel. So then, like we said, we're going to get the plate and the color. So then I'm gonna name it base plate. Because this is now that, no matter what. You can name this A and it'd be the same thing. It's basically calling the function with these. So I'm gonna do base plate dot, ooh, I can't do that. Can't be a color 3. I'm gonna do brick color. And I'm gonna do it white, I guess. Wheat, sure. So we're gonna set the brick color to the color that we give it. And now if we run, you notice it does not run. Why is it not running? Yeah, there we go. It was just a weird one. I don't know why I didn't run the first time. So we see it change colors to wheat. And that's essentially what you do for that kind of script, right? Now, essentially modules do the same thing, right? So I'm going to do a module. And I'm going to name this module, I'm going to do change color. I'm going to call the function. But what if I told you don't have to do any of that? You could just do this. Local module equals require. You always have to require a module. Game.serverScript See right here, server script service and the module script, and we got the module. This can be named whatever. I'm just going to name it A for simplicity's sake. I'm going to do A function. We're creating a function in the module. A dot change color. So we'll take the brick color and I will also give it, or the brick, and I'll give it the color. So we just created a function, right? So I'm going to print brick, and I'm also going to print the color. So it would look. Now, essentially what this does is it puts this function right here into this table, like this. That's essentially what this does. So it inserts this function into a table like this. But we don't see that because it's invisible. It's there, but it's not there. It's sort of like, once you understand it, you understand it. For instance, so we're inserting the function into the A table like that. Exactly like that. But it's not like that. Alright. So now, cool. Now if we run the function, what's going to happen? Nothing, right? Because it doesn't print anything. Well, we have to call the function. So I'm going to go module dot change color. And I want to give it the base plate and the color. Now if we run it, it'll print base plate and wheat, right? Now, I'm actually going to insert another part into workspace. I'm going to put this part here, and I am going to delete all these base plates because we only need one. And I'm going to actually change this to part. Right? So if we run it, it says part and wheat. So it gets the part. So instead of doing that, we could literally just do this, like this. Base plate. Sorry, dot part. So we got the part. So now we're going to call this module function twice, like this. And we're going to do part in here. So we notice it'll print two things. It will print the part and the base plate. And the color that we're giving. Now, what if you don't want to call it like that? Well, you can just do this, actually. You can set it a global variable, like this. Actually, I'm going to keep the color, because it just feels... Never mind, I'm just going to delete all that. And I'm just going to call the function when the game starts, and we're going to call this base plate. And we're going to do color 1 and color 2. So I'm going to do brick color dot new red, and brick color dot new green. Sure, that color. So then we're going to do color 1 and color 2. There. So now we notice, hey, it knows what it is now because this is color 1 and this is color 2. Color 1, color 2. We're calling it. This is color 1 right here. This is color 2. If you don't understand this, watch my functions part 2 episode. I will link in the description. Or ask me on Discord. Now we notice, whoa, that's really crazy. It's printing grime for the part color and base plate for the red for the base plate color. But where is the... We notice we're not printing it here. We're actually printing it in the module we're calling the function on. Right? So now, what if I want to change the color? Well, you would do brick. You would get the brick. This right here. Brick. Dot brick color equals the color. Right? Now if we run it, we notice the base plate has just turned red. That's a really bright red. And the brick, the little part, has turned grime. Now, that is how a module script works. You can print things, you can change health, you can save stuff to modules. It just shortens down code. You could also make a player fly with it. You could shorten down code like I did. Like, instead of this 6 times to change 6 different colors, I would call this one function 6 times like this. And it would change the color, the parts that I decide to change colors. Right? And And that's essentially what a module script is. It's a huge table that you put functions inside, and you can call upon that function. Now, what if I want to return something else? Well, I'll show you that, actually. I'm going to make brick a variable. Or I'm going to make C a variable. C equals brick. I'm going to return C, and we're going to see what happens. We say, attempt to index no with change color. It's because it does not know what that is, because change color is not a function of the brick that we just gave it, right? It thinks, oh, well, C isn't a table, it's a nil value right now. So what if I actually made it a function, right? I could do function brick. I'm gonna do the same thing to make it simple. In color. Then I'm gonna print brick in color. Right? Now if we run it, we notice. Yeah, that's right, because I changed the name of the function. Let me fix that. Wait, what is the function name? So we notice it says function this, right? So it's getting this function. Now, what if you wanted to call the function? Well, you'd call the function like normal, actually. Let me try to... I'm gonna do it differently. So we're setting C to a function called test. Oh, requested module. What's the problem? Actually, I don't think you can really call a function unless it's inside the table. Because when you call the function, it's saying, hey, there's a function here, but like, that's cool and all, but like, how do I get that function? Now, you could actually return multiple things. So let's say I wanted to, let's go, I'll undo all this, right? So that's, you could sign other variables, but I never have because I've never really had the need to. And if you do, then nice. Alright, so we notice we're getting back to change color. Now we can actually return something out of the function. So we see we're returning the table and we're going to return something inside the function. Again, if you don't understand this, please watch the functions part 2. I explain all this in detail. I'm going to turn the brick color. I'm going to return the brick and the color that it was given. And then we notice if we run it, it still changed its color. But what does return do exactly? Well, we had to assign it to a variable. So I'm going to do this, right? And I'm actually going to print part and change. And we notice it said, hey, base plate was changed to really red, right? And then we notice, wait a minute, why was base plate turned green and the part stayed the same color? Well, it's because I'm returning the brick in the function. I'm returning the part it's given in the first time. And it's setting that color to grime because part is now this, right? So if I want to do that, I have to change this to change part. And then now if we do it, we notice it says base plate and it prints the color really red, even though we're not printing it here. See? Where we're just returning the brick and we're returning the color. And we're we're setting that to a variable, change part, and change, and we're printing it. Now you can do the same for this one, but that would be too many variables and might confuse some people. Now, what if I wanted to make a stats table, right? So stats tables are very similar to that. So let's say you had a sword, and you want that sword to have stats. We're just going to name the sword. So you do sword dot stats equals another table. So we're putting another table inside of another table. And then we press enter and we notice, hey, well, now we have a table, right? And then we could actually print module dot stats. And we notice it says, hey, there's a table here. But there's nothing in that table because we notice, hey, it's empty. So to insert, you just do this, equal damage equals 50, right? And then we do stats.damage. And we notice it pops up, and if we print it, it says 50, right? Or if I wanted to change, or I could set the color of the sword, right? So notice, remember how we set the color of the base plate? Reddish brown. So we're going to set it to reddish brown. That's the new color of the quote-unquote sword we're making, right? So I'm going to go ahead and call that, and we're going to do stats dot brick color. And we notice, hey, it's reddish brown. And then I'm going to get the base plate. We have the base plate. And then I'm going to do base plate dot brick color. Base plate. And then we're going to do this because it's a string value. Module, we're going to copy this and put it here. Wait, actually, never mind. Brick color equals that. And we notice it's reddish brown. Hooray! Because this module is the default color. Now we could also change this color to reddish green. Sure, light reddish violet. Why not? And then we notice, hey, it changed the color. Now that's not the only thing we can do with this. We can actually put a function in here, right? We're going to put a stats, or function, stats. Oh yeah, that's right, because stats is already inside the table. Function stats dot change, right? Oh yeah, I'd have to put the function inside of the table because it's still created. All right, so hmm. Yeah, see, we notice when we call the table, it prints something. It prints test when we call the table because table is being called and whatever is in that called function. So we can just put a function here like this. Or actually, uh, uh, I'd have to define the function above. I'm actually going to make a local function. I'm going to do change. And then I'm going to call change in here. And change, we're going to do print test. And we notice, hey, it prints test because we just called the table. And we go to it, it prints the function because we just called the function in the table. Now, what if I wanted to delete everything in the workspace? Yeah, sure. Well, what I would do with that is I would go, since I'm already calling the module, right? I'm printing the module. If I just, I'm printing whatever the module calls upon. So I would print the module, and I would just do think I could pass an argument in here. We're gonna name it base plate. It's simply called table value. Oh yeah, you can't transfer stuff into a table from a module. Jeez. I'm acting like I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. It's fine though. So I'm just gonna get the base plate. So I'm just gonna assign it to a variable equals game.workspace.baseplate. So we have baseplate now. We have to put a comma. If you don't put a comma, it'll error. We're gonna do this, and if we notice, what? So we notice we're calling upon the table now, and I'm gonna see what happens. Right? I'm gonna print that. I'm gonna print A. And we notice it says nil because it doesn't exist because we didn't assign it to a variable. This is not working like I want it to work. I'm just gonna start to change it in workspace. So I'm just gonna get the path to the object and change it because I don't think I can pass arguments from. I've never tried something like this, and I've never really had a need to yet. And we're gonna destroy it whenever the function is called. I'm gonna do change, and then change is going to print removed, right? And we notice it prints removed, and oh no, the base plate's gone. What a tragedy. And we see the part fall because it's not anchored. That's essentially what a module script is. You can delete parts, you can put stuff in tables, you can print things in tables. You could do whatever you want on a table. You can actually put the a equals 5, 2, I guess, if you wanted to. Then you do a dot 2, and then it'll print. It'll print 2, and it'll also remove the object because you're calling the table. You could do this. And it would say nothing because that's a number value and we're not assigning it to anything. It'd say there in the table. And we could also iterate through it with the for loop. Why not? Why don't we do that? For index and items in iPairs module, do print items. So we notice it says removed because we're calling on the table. Because when we call on the table, it's calling the function. Now, if we undo that, we notice it doesn't delete the base plate because it's not calling on anything. And the table automatically calls the function whenever it's started because it's like that. Now, you could do this, actually. Items.module.sort, or stats, sorry. And we'd print, hey, we have a ridiculously big number here. That's the ridiculously big number. And we have A. But A is really not important because that's a separate value. So you can iterate through the table. You can do other things with it, but I'll get into that in my part 2. If we do this, we'll notice it'll print this 7 times because there's 7 items in the table. And we delete that, it's still 7 times because it's 7 times in the table. And that's pretty much how modules work. You can iterate through functions, you can use shorten code like I showed you with that simple script. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Discord or Roblox. Yeah, see ya. Next episode will be modules part 2.